Unfortunately, the Venezuelan people are not the only people to discover what it means when Trump is willing to sell you out to make a quick buck. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, unveiled a plan at this Board of Peace, this organization Trump is trying to start, and that plan was for Gaza. It was called New Gaza and New Rafah, and evidently it was a great opportunity for investors, according to Jared Kushner. Not so much for the Gazan people. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down. Now, as we know, with even more reporting coming out about Venezuela, Trump's plan was always to keep in place Maduro's second hand, Delcy Rodriguez, a continuation of the authoritarian regime. The only difference was Delcy was willing to cooperate with Trump and sell the Venezuelan oil. And as we know, that Venezuelan oil is being held in a Qatari bank where Trump can control that oil at whim without any kind of transparency or accountability, not only by the American people, but the Venezuelan people. The opposition, the Democratic opposition, who won that Nobel Peace Prize and presented it to Trump, Machado, had no chance of taking this over because Trump is fine with the authoritarian regime as long as he can make a quick buck. And we know this because one of the first sales went to a mega donor affiliated company. He's doing a very similar thing to Gaza. Now, as we know, the destruction of Gaza is unprecedented. Whole stretches of buildings have been completely flattened. Thousands upon thousands of people, Palestinians, have been killed, women and children, legally called a genocide by many organizations, all funded by weapons provided to Netanyahu by the United States. It seems now Trump and Jared Kushner want to take advantage of this investment opportunity, as they say. Now, this is not a novel idea that Jared Kushner has just thought of. This was actually something he said 2 years ago. Take a listen.
The thing that I would try to do if I was Israel right now is I would just bulldoze something in the Negev. I would try to move people in there. I know that won't be the popular thing to do, but I think that that's a better option to do so that you can go in and finish the job. In Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable.
Just as Kushner envisioned years ago, the coastal community of Gaza that he put forward in that plan is restricted to tourism, which means that no Palestinian could actually live in oceanfront property in their country. Is this a democracy? Well, this is something the United States is putting forward. It could be why we are hurting our reputation on the national stage. I mean, Kushner realizes that they can make more money if they put hotels, maybe even a Trump hotel, on the beach rather than it be owned by Gazans. Not only that, but the residents of Gaza, according to Kushner, would have to all live in the center of Gaza. They would have pre-planned communities, and those communities would be restricted. On one side, you would have this coastal tourism area. On the other side, you would have farmland, even though that existing land, according to the Washington Post, is broken and deserted and not good for farmland. On another part of the border, you would have the industrial complex. Basically, the people of Gaza would all be in one area in the center, and all of the borders would otherwise have these specific purposes. Now, of course, the most disturbing thing about this is the fact that there is not any buy-in from the Gazans or Palestinians. Instead, it is a plan put forward by Jared Kushner, who's not even elected in office, and Trump, who only cares about himself. In fact, according to the Washington Post, there is a committee of Palestinians, a Palestinian Administrative Committee, but it is very unclear, based on the proposal Jared Kushner made, what, if any, power the Palestinians on that committee actually have. This sounds like just another grift. And other world leaders are taking note. The Canadian Prime Minister made perhaps the most elegant and moving speech about how other countries in the world have seen things the United States has done.
We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false, that the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient, that trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused or the victim. This fiction was useful. And American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security, and support for frameworks for resolving disputes. So we placed the sign in the window. We participated in the rituals. And we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality. This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance, health, energy, and geopolitics have laid bare the risks of extreme global integration. But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited. You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination.
I'm sure it had to do with the fact that we lied to the world about Iraq not having weapons of mass destruction when they didn't, and in the end led a coalition of countries to a war that killed 1 million Iraqi civilians. But I'm sure it also had to do with the fact that we supplied endlessly weapons to Netanyahu and his far-right regime to starve and kill thousands of Palestinians. It seems that we have lost our moral authority, and Carney is calling that out. He's also saying he doesn't plan on being on Trump's board of peace. Take a listen.
Is this board of peace that President Trump is keen on? I'm not sure whether it's for Gaza or for the entire world, but apparently Canada's been invited. Are you going to join?
We have been invited, and let me start by, I think we should recognize the progress that has been made in at least getting towards the end of the first phase of this process, and the activation, if I can put it that way, of the process to set up the Board of Peace is the start of phase 2. Our view is, and that's to be welcomed, and this is a positive vehicle. Our view is we need to work on the actual structure of the vehicle. You just referenced, is it for Gaza? Well, the UN resolution, Security Council resolution 2803 references a board of peace for Gaza. That's where we see it becoming immediately operative, and it needs to be, in our view, it's better to be designed in that way for the immediate needs there. There are many other needs around the world, first point. Second point, it needs to coincide with the immediate full flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. We are still not where we need to be. Conditions still are horrific. So that needs to come alongside. We think there's aspects of the governance and the decision-making process that could be improved. But we will work with others, obviously work with the United States, because we will do anything that we can to improve the situation, the horrific situation there, and to move onto a path to a true two-state solution.
There's a suggestion you can get permanent membership of the Board of Peace by ponying up $1 billion. You going to write a check for that?
We would write checks and deliver in kind to improve the welfare of the people of Palestine. But we want to see it delivered direct to those outcomes promoting peace.
Trump himself isn't even trying to hide that the Board of Peace is a giant grift. I mean, for one, he has made himself the chairperson for life, unless he designates somebody else. It's similar to this idea. Before presidency, he created a fake university. Now it's a fake UN, all to benefit him personally. Evidently, to hold a lifelong seat on this amorphous Board of Peace, the country has to commit to $1 billion. When the reporter asked where this money was going to go, Trump had no answer because, of course, it's going to go to benefit him. Take a listen.
It's going to be close to 100%. Yeah, Steve. You tell us back to the Board of Peace. Some of the countries are, I think the permanent members contributed $1 billion. What is that money supposed to be for Gaza? Have already put up $1 billion. Some of the countries have already put up much more than that. What's that money for? That's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the value of peace. Peace is so destructive for everyone, even countries that aren't involved. I mean, it's so destructive for everybody when you have wars.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were actually trying to create a board to help the people of Gaza, to help the people of Israel, to help the surrounding region come to peace in that area? That, yes, maybe people could invest in alongside the Palestinian people to determine what kind of two-state solution that they want. Trump, unfortunately, is all about the grift. Jared Kushner, an unelected official, just cares about making a great investment deal for himself. For more on this and other topics, be sure to subscribe to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel, follow the Mistrial podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and help support the Mistrial sponsors because they never censor what I have to say.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.